Right, and we are live. Welcome to the FrameCast. Good evening, Boston. This is WCB, and you are listening to the underground sound of Boston radio. On this week's new episode, we are introducing someone new, Caleigh McKrink. She is the director of a new documentary, a BFA thesis called "The Woman I Know." Thank you so much for coming, Caleigh.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so obviously, this is a project I imagine that you've been working on for a long time. So, right off the bat, I'm just curious. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got your start at Emerson, really.
Um, I I'm from New York originally, and I applied to like 6 schools when I was looking at colleges, and my cousin had gone to Emerson for film, so that's how I knew about Emerson. And then I was choosing between Purchase and Emerson, but I wanted to get out of New York, so I ended up in Boston. I think I made the right decision.
Yeah, it's definitely a way more chill city than New York.
Yeah, I would say so. I miss my city though.
Yeah, I mean, New York definitely has its quirks. I'm from Brooklyn, and I mean, the subway, I definitely won't miss the characters on that one, that's for sure.
Oh, you gotta love them though.
I
You
mean,
have to love them.
one time, a crazy story, completely unrelated, but this was before I even started at my old college. But this one time, I was just riding from the subway,
Hmm.
on, and I was coming back from a movie. I remember this, and this one guy, I remember, like halfway to my station, this we stop at another station, and this dude comes in, and like he announces that I'm raising money for my dance tuition, and then he does this whole gymnast routine. He
You
does
always
like
have those dancers
backflips.
on the subway.
This dude is doing backflips and like everything, like turned into Spider-Man all of a sudden. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so then when I got to Emerson, I originally came to do screenwriting, but then I like rediscovered my love for documentary, and the idea for TWIC came to me in my intro to documentary class, because the first film I ever made, the film I made to get into Emerson, was a documentary.
Oh wow, that's really cool. So I'm curious about this path you're taking now. What is the Woman I Know about, succinctly, in your own words?
The Woman I Know is a documentary, and it is about the women in my life who raised me. And it asks the question, what does it mean when we say it takes a village to raise a child? And kind of just focusing on the fact that no one created themselves, and that we are like an amalgamation of everyone who's we've ever known and everyone who's ever like been in our lives, from the perspective of someone who can't have kids.
Wow, that's some really powerful stuff.
Thank
Honestly.
you.
Yeah, it's crazy, and one of the unique things that I've noticed with this movie, with this with this documentary. Sorry, I'm stumbling here. But one thing I noticed is that on your Instagram, you guys had actually been focusing the story in Ireland. So tell me a little bit about that decision.
My dad is from Ireland. He was born there. He was born and raised there, and he came to America to be with my mom, actually. So half of my family is still there. So, and so many of those women in Ireland mean so much to me, and I couldn't not include them. And being Irish, and Ireland is such a big part of who I am and like my culture. And it was really important for me to like forefront that a little bit in The Women I Know.
Yeah, I'm curious. What are some of the major themes that you hope to explore with this documentary?
That's a really good question. I really want to look into personhood and what it means to be a person almost, and what it means to I think an interesting thing in general is just like how the people we know influence who we are, and that's a major theme for me. I think also mother-daughter relationships outside of the biological confines of that mother-daughter relationship's really interesting to me. Like in my the people that we are interviewing, it's not just my family. Like I'm also interviewing my English high school teacher.
Hmm.
And I think it's like a really powerful and beautiful thing to know that you can be influenced by so many different like amazing people.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm curious about like your own relationship with this because you mentioned that Ireland is very much part of who you are. It's part of your culture. It's part of your identity. So I don't know. It must have been a really interesting experience having grown up that way, and then being able to now you're a film student. Now you have these amazing abilities to reimagine that. What was that process like going drawing on those personal experiences to create this?
Um, well, it took me a while to know who I wanted to forefront in my documentary. I feel like I can make a 6 hour long documentary, but I had to make the scope of it reasonable. And so I did have to sit down for a while and like think about who I was going to include and why. And I, the first time I went to Ireland, I was 9 months old. You know what I mean? And I just think that there was no way I could tell this story without including that because America's so weird in the fact of like there's no like American culture. I'd say I feel like it's such a mix of where everyone's from and different things. And um, for me, like being Irish and specifically Irish Catholic has always been super important and super fundamental to who I am as a person. And I just don't think I could tell this story in a real and honest way if I didn't include that.
Yeah, that's really important. And I'm curious, without like spoiling the documentary, what would you say is your favorite aspect that you're excited for audiences to see?
um, oh, that's such a good question. I think I'm really excited for people to be able to relate to it. I think it's such a personal project, but I want to be able to use the um, personal aspect of it to be able to reach broader audiences. I think womanhood and girlhood and the connection that females have to one another is so powerful and so important. And I think these stories that we tell each other when you are a woman and how you communicate with other women is such a fundamental part of being a woman or a femme person. And I think that's I hope that really shines through.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, think that that aspect of getting to see these voices, which, I mean, unfortunately, female voices for years in cinema have always struggled to
Mm-hmm.
make themselves heard, and it's always presented, through the male perspective, and so I think that, it must have been a real challenge. Were there any sources of inspiration you drew on to try and create that narrative, to have it be very female centric, to not go into any, to really set itself apart?
Yeah, there were a lot of um, films that I drew from, but I originally came up with the idea in that class, and I wanted to do it for the class because I was really missing my mom, and I wanted to tell a story about my mom. But I didn't end up doing that. And then when over the summer, I watched a film called Stories We Tell by Sarah Polly, and I remember seeing that and being like, oh no, this is what I'm gonna do. And it's this documentary about this girl who is trying to learn more about her mom through the rest of her family. Um, and I think I it like blew me away. It's my favorite film.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm curious about what do you think about some of the films of Greta Gerwig, stuff that she's done?
Greta Gerwig is I think Greta Gerwig has such a unique voice in her storytelling, and I think she is able to pull those like female relationships out really well. Like I think Lady Bird is such like a classic example of like mother-daughter relationships, and I also think her version of Little Women works so well because all of the female characters in that film are so fully fleshed out and their dynamics are so clear. that I think I would say that it is the best version. Maybe that's controversial, but I think she's really good at like pulling these dynamics out and forefronting them. And I think she's huge. She's hugely inspirational. I mean, almost anything she touches, I think, turns to gold.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like after me, so at what stage is this documentary in? Have you guys completed production on it so far, or are you guys still working on it?
No, so the BFA is a year-long process. So I got accepted last October. And then we did a lot of pre-production work right up until January, and I was going to Ireland anyway, so to be economical, we decided that I was going to go film by myself. So I took 2 cameras, 2 tripods, a microphone, and I went to Ireland with my family on this trip, and I filmed a portion of it then. And now we're focusing more on marketing it, getting the word out, fundraising, and prepping to film the bulk of it in May. But we luckily have been able to go back to Ireland. We're going back to Ireland in May, me and my director of photography, Justin Bloomberg. We're going to go back to Ireland to do reshoots. And that should be really, really exciting because where we're shooting in Ireland is a totally different area than where I shot myself, and it's right by the Irish Sea, and it's like so beautiful. So I'm really, really, really excited.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm curious, Caleigh, in your experience so far, with making this project and of course making other projects, I imagine at Emerson, what would you say differentiates a documentarian from a filmmaker in your mind as a creative?
That's a really interesting question. I don't think that there's much of a difference. I think people have a lot of misconceptions about documentary and what it is and what it can be. And I think when you think of documentaries, you think of nature docs, you think of those like historical ones or true crime. And I think like it's much more creative and poetic than people give it credit. I think also like it's not journalists can be documentarians, but not every documentarian is a journalist. And I think that's a really interesting like differentiate, I don't know if
There's a different way to differentiate.
Yeah. And I think it's been really interesting to learn that I don't think there's much of a difference. I don't think narrative and documentary are all that different when you boil them down. And I think it's really beautiful to be able to take all of this stuff that happens in real life and show it in a poetic, beautiful way, because you can write anything, but nothing is crazier than what happens in real life.
Yeah. And yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And I'm curious, what are your hopes in the future for more things that you hope to do? Like, are you hoping to create more documentaries, or are you hoping to try and do something different?
That's a really good question. I do hope to make more documentaries in the future. I'm also I've gotten really into social media and marketing in that way. I think unfortunately I do think that word of mouth is dead, and I think that if your social media is not up and running, then you kind of don't exist, which is it sucks. And it's the worst case scenario, but I think you can use that in a really interesting way to be able to like forefront these messages. And what people are looking for nowadays is community, and people are searching for that because they can't find it in person online. And so with TWIC, or The Women I Know, what we've been trying to do is have like a lot of community-based events. Like for Valentine's Day, we just had like a Valentine's Day table where people can make their own Valentines, and we're looking at other events because I think everyone's looking for community, but I think more than anything, Emerson is, because we don't have a campus. We have sports teams, but they're not forefronted like they are at other schools. and there's a real disconnect between majors. And I think people are really looking for like a space where they can just like hang.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually part of the reason as to why I created the FrameCast. Really, it's just to really, because like I see that like oftentimes, you know, a lot of students out there, they're just creating Instagram accounts or really trying to promote their work, but nobody really gets the chance to talk about it. And
I agree.
yeah, and I think that you're right. I guess we are trying to, in a lot of ways, use art to create community, which you know, which is just funny, but also really beautiful.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Yeah.
I think a lot of the community that people at Emerson can find like comes from themselves. Like I think if you find community at Emerson, it's not because of Emerson, it's because of the people the students and the teachers.
Yeah, we know the school doesn't really provide that much.
You said it, not me.
I mean, hey,
Hey,
they're giving me this channel, but I mean, hey, at least I have the freedom to talk about it.
Exactly.
So yeah, hey, freedom of speech.
It's a beautiful
while we still have it.
I know.
Cross our fingers. Hope that we still have it by the end of tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What Trump's election, it's kind of insane. It feels like we're in 2016 again, you know. And I feel like that's why I've been watching a lot of documentaries, not just nature docs but history docs, because I don't know. I feel like this is such a pivotal moment that, you know, I don't even know what else in history to compare it to. You know, a lot of people would compare it to potentially the rise of fascism, which. I mean, I refuse to believe, but I mean, I don't know.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think it is a really scary time. And I think there's a lot of stuff on the line. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say, but I think when we tell stories like Twick, or when we have these conversations, like we are doing something radical, and I'm going to stick with radical. And I think community is the best way to fight hate, and the best way to fight fascism, and the best way to fight the things that we fear, which is the rise of people who are discriminatory and the rise of people who are bigots. Because I think hatred comes from this idea that somebody is different than you, and you can't think that if you know someone. And I think when we look at stories like Twick, you know, it is about community, and it is about female community. And I think that's something really important to forefront right now.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like the advantages of these documentaries is that they can, like you said, provide a perspective that not a lot of people are knowing. Because when everyone's really screaming at each other, nobody's really listening. And these documentaries provide an opportunity and a rare moment to listen to people, to listen to the other side, to understand what they're going through. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm in a class called How to Be Human, and we were just talking about this philosopher who focused his study on language. And he said if a lion could speak, you could never understand the lion, because you'll never be able to understand the lion's lived experience. And I think when we talk to each other, whether it's through art or conversation, we are trying to communicate our lived experience to one another. And I think in that respect, there's nothing more beautiful than to listen, because you are trying to understand and what it is like to be someone else. And that's such a beautiful, powerful thing that we can do with one another.
Yeah, no, it's really amazing. I'm curious, what else? Have you seen anything new recently? Any good shows at all?
Recently, my roommate has gotten me into Severance.
Oh yeah, my roommate's
I'm only on the
been talking
first
about it too.
season, so I'm far behind, but I've been eating it up. I love that show.
Yeah.
And I never would have thought Ben Stiller would would make a show like that.
Ben Stiller made it.
Yes,
Really?
Yes, it's created by
Okay,
Ben
I'm
Stiller.
Googling this right now.
It's crazy. I mean, it's funny because I don't think he could ever act in it, but it's a really great show.
Oh damn, yeah, you're right. He's one of the producers. That's crazy.
I think he's the creator.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he is. Dan Erickson's the showrunner, but Ben Stiller helped to create it in 2022 when they brought it to Apple TV.
A really interesting thing that my art director Caleigh told me was that their credit sequence, which is this really cool like art piece, it was done by someone they found on Instagram.
Oh wow.
Which is so cool and totally goes back to that thing of like social media is like how you get out there.
Yeah, you're right. I was also thinking about like other ways in which technology is kind of changing us. I was just thinking about this conversation that I had with that not me, but like my visual design class had with our professor, because we were working with After Effects, and After Effects had added this new AI feature, and it caused quite a stir because there had been, this was like before the actors and writers strike, before the real concern about AI came to the forefront. When it was just really when AI was really just a basic tool, and now think about how advanced that's gone. Just like that.
I know. I think about all the time that AI is the worst it'll ever be. Like it's only gonna get better, and I refuse to use any of it. Like
I know.
Yeah, like I won't do it.
Yeah, like I never, like for example, I never used ChatGPT to write my scripts. I know a lot of writers will say that, but like.
Have you really met a lot of Emerson writers who use ChatGPT?
No, but a lot of classmates at my old college, Quinnipiac, definitely did.
Really?
Yeah, they would use ChatGPT definitely to write it. But actually, there was this one case where we had a screenwriting professor who made us use ChatGPT to write a script, but only to compare it to our previous work as a thought experiment.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, like, this, if you look at the structure of the way that AI writes, it's basically nonsensical, and it doesn't make any sense unless a human puts it together. Then it makes sense.
I agree. Well, I think the reason why movies work and the reason why documentaries work is because they are real human experience. Like, you can't make art is fundamentally human. Art is fundamentally made from our personal human experiences, and if you take that out, it's not art anymore. It's like slop.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's why, like, oh my god, I'm having Vietnam flashbacks. That's why this is a hot take right now. I really hated those AI generated like Wes Anderson parodies. I'm sorry.
Really? I don't think I've seen those.
Yeah, like a while ago there were a bunch of AI parodies of where people would just like make the Avengers if it was made by Wes Anderson, but they would put it into like an AI feature or an AI image creator that would just generate these soulless images, and then they would try to animate it to make it a movie, and I'm like, bro, that's not a movie.
No, you're just adding to like the nonsensical AI slop that's like infested all of our.
I'm sure even Wes Anderson would hate the fact that his work is being copied by a machine.
Yeah, I would have to assume so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
Especially because I feel like he's such a precise guy. Like, he does everything with so much. There's nothing Wes Anderson doesn't do that he didn't mean to do.
Exactly. Well, it is definitely interesting where this will take us in the future. But, I think that what's so exciting about Emerson is that it does provide the opportunity to, like, work with, and this is something I didn't know. We had our campus actually has the largest collection of analog cameras.
I did know that.
It's crazy. And so, like, I'm in an analog class, and we're working with real, like, actual film reels and the Steinbeck, and I think it's so cool to be able to just work with that old equipment because, you know, there's just some beauty in it.
Yeah, I think having something physical is really cool and really important. I'll be honest, I've never shot on film and I have no desire to, but I can respect the artistry of it.
Yeah.
And I think also people are always like, oh, like CDs are gonna become like extinct or like whatever. But I don't believe that, because I think people always crave like a physical copy. Like there's something about holding it in your hand.
Yeah, that's why like a lot of friends that I knew in high school, they were really into vinyls, and some of them were really into like, what do you call those cameras that immediately like
Oh, like the Polaroids.
Yeah, Polaroids. Yeah. Oh my God, there wasn't a high school girl that didn't have a Polaroid camera.
I should say that I also have a Polaroid camera.
Oh wow, that makes you way cooler.
Oh, thank you.
Oh
I'll
my
take
God.
it.
Yeah, it's just so authentic, and the fact that you have to shake it and then you can actually see the image come to life. It's crazy.
When conceptualizing The Women I Know, I did consider shooting on film, but quite frankly, it's too expensive, and I think
because you'd have to constantly be buying reels, and
yes.
then you have to get it developed, which is even crazier, because you have to pay for, like, you have to book out a studio, you have to go there, you have to sit there for hours to get it developed. I don't think anyone has the patience.
One of my executive producers, Alyssa Lowry, says every day that if she was to take over the project, she would shoot it on a Bolex.
Oh wow.
So, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe I'll throw a curveball in there.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, anyways, I wanted to thank you for coming on to the show, Caleigh. I think that we're really excited to hear about The Women I Know.
Thank you.
I'm curious about where audiences can watch it.
It's going to be screened, I think, May 9th of next year, with all of the other BFA films. But then I will be submitting to film festivals, so hopefully it'll be in a few of those, and it might be on my Vimeo. I'm not sure. I guess you'll have to tune into the Women I Know Instagram, thewomeniknow.bfa, to find out more. But thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. Tune into the Women in Film Instagram. Absolutely, follow Caleigh on Instagram. She's absolute delight. You can find out more about other projects she's working on, as well as more about Women in Film from the Instagram. Thank you so much for having us tonight, Boston. Please stay warm tonight. This wind, it's absolutely killing us.
It is.
If we're not dead by tomorrow, I would be surprised, frankly.
All
right. Yeah. This is WCB. You are listening to the FrameCast, the underground sound, Boston Radio.